this lunchtime meditation. Put down your tools, your tactics, your weapons. I shouldn't say weapons, but you said lippins of productivity. Enjoy me and embrace is enjoying me. And bringing breath a deep inhale and an exhale as we enter into this lunchtime meditation. Now, the first thing that's important when we meditate is to sit comfortably on our knees, the legs crossed so that we can focus our energy from above, rather than below like its focus right now. We're sitting on top of all these nerves which are sending signals up here, but they don't go anywhere. And I'm realizing, once again, and also again, we're sitting on top of all these nerves, which are sending signals up here, but they don't go anywhere, so instead of concentrating them, let us concentrate ourselves by focusing on what comes out. From inside of our heads. And she reached up and... No. Intimate. What comes out. Our mouth, or where our mind goes instead of the place we come from, because where our body came from, well, it came out somewhere else. And she says, with her hands on the floor, "What? How did... we are going to replay. I encourage you again. Good morning, everyone. Enter into this lunchtime meditation with me. I hope that you will enjoy my session. Thank you for listening to it. The sound was like the distant thunder of an ocean. You're focused on end quotes. Why? I didn't even start with a quote. No quotes. Sensible moth. Edited. You know what? We're gonna add something here. We're going to Gary Lutz this biznatch. As we enter into this lunchtime meditation. Lunchtime. You can call this anything you like. It does mean any point between breakfast and dinner when most men get up, go out to work. Most men are at their desks working, or if not at work, at least at home with a laptop or smartphone in the hands. There will be some who may even say, "I was watching football last night or baseball game on TV yesterday, so maybe just have one coffee, but then after lunch." Many guys like us go straight to the bar, or back out to our offices or cubicles and continue work, and if not work. If that is the case today, then lunch hour is really no more than a way to get some shut-eye, to catch up with the office gossip, a quick read over the emails, text messages to make certain that things haven't gone haywire in some department because of all these people going out to do lunch at this very same place and they never showed up. And that would be the day you might have called the head office and said, well, I had the plan set aside and the team was expecting. And the team was expecting X and Z. They never showed. And then the other possibility of what is going wrong is it might be a slow day, or the whole world might seem to be against me for whatever reason. So it's important to pay close attention to my own energy levels, with a bit of an inhale and an exhale, but also paying a little bit closer attention to the energy around me. Are others there doing their job? Do you feel like they're doing theirs as well? Perhaps you need a nudge from them? Maybe that guy has been putting out great fires lately, or that gal might want something new, or better yet, maybe the company president would like some new ideas about a new plan to implement, a better system. Well, maybe that could be yours, and now that it looks as though there will soon be there'll be another lunchtime opportunity, why wait? Take your phone or notebook with you. Record what's going on. You see, I think this afternoon when you have lunch, I don't know, maybe grab a burger and fries with someone you know at work who could use that little extra bit of advice. But anyway, here is to another week in your life which has started with much excitement and now with a good chance for change. And that change could be positive change. A shift towards better living, or a turn toward the past which may hold regrets, fears, or bad memories of times long since forgotten. This is what we are here today to help guide through our practice today. Let us find a spot where there's room, and then settle down. Let us breathe in together, and breathe it out. Let me ask that if there's anybody out there feeling like there needs some more inspiration today, I want each of us to try our hand at being a good Samaritan. So we shall do a round of gratitude for the food we eat, the shelter, or the friends who have supported us, and so on. But then let us try our best today to offer to our world that special little spark of hope that makes us want a little brighter tomorrow. And that can't be helped, but then that brings us right into this afternoon's contemplation of gratitude. So here's wishing everyone out a great day ahead of us. Today was such an odd sort of thing happened. Today I went to this local coffee house just to pick myself a few minutes off from work, order some water, get out of there for just 15 to 20 minutes. It took no longer than 20 or so minutes for this old lady, her back leaning up on the counter as she waited behind the cash register with a small cup of iced tea, I guess. I don't know. She looked at me as she put a cigarette to her mouth. I could barely hear what this conversation consisted. Something to do with taxes, but it sure wasn't to say. But I heard her say, I got it. But then again, I don't. So she lit a tip, then puffed a few times and exhaled a cloud of smoke into my face, which I could smell, then blew the smog into the air around her. I thought that was funny. But it did nothing to get away. In the middle of a laugh, I realized she was staring directly into my eyes. Not laughing, but studying. As I turned away to hide my eyes, I glanced down to check out this pair of panties under this wrinkled blouse. The fabric was worn out at some points and loose around the crotch and belly region. This old bag must not get a lot of visitors. I should burp away from the microphone. I tried to focus back on the TV set. I had some serious thinking to get done, and she was standing still like a statue. So I just kind of gave a smile, but then she didn't leave, so I asked her, Excuse me, ma'am, but I think you dropped this. Then I reached into the pocket of the shirt and pulled out a dollar bill, folded and crumpled, but she took the paper in her wrinkly old hands and began folding the money, then tucking it inside her dress, at which point the two women who worked behind her, at least one older and one young, I'd imagine we just watching. I thought that this was pretty strange, but then she thanked me very nicely and then walked outside, smoking the cigarette with every step. The old woman then went into a booth by herself and the door slammed shut. So now she was really in the privacy of the place. I could see a reflection of her in the glass as the smoke swirled. It was like she was in some sort of trance or something. I'm sure the other two people working the shop saw this, but then they turned to watch television as if there was some entertainment on, or maybe even that the store needed customers. Oh, did I accidentally? Oops. The old lady then reached up with her arms over the edge and put a finger on either side of her face, pulling her lips down tight to her nose. I wondered at this. Was she making some kind of facial expression to say something? I couldn't quite see, but then her cigarette was burning to a stub. I guess she was trying not to be noticed. She just had a blank expression. But that didn't make any sense because I hadn't been the one to talk. Maybe she wanted the whole situation. I didn't really know how to feel or what to do. She finally dropped the smoldering butt to the floor in front of the counter where the two young men had been waiting on her order. Well, anyway, as the old lady turned to walk outside, I felt compelled that this might be a great opportunity for me to ask her if there was any reason why she looked like she needed a good scrub down. I didn't know exactly how far back it went. It might even explain all those wrinkles, something like that. She seemed like a nice old lady, but then she might just have a terrible habit. I wouldn't know about it. But if I asked, it would have a better effect if it came from someone who knew the person. I don't want this to get awkward, embarrassing, or worse. Still, maybe a lawsuit if someone gets sick. This is what she was doing with the toxic product in the tobacco shop. And they have an asthma problem, which I've read about on TV. I guess I should have called the police first before taking action of that nature. It just seems like I can only be responsible. I wish I could go find her. She's a sweetie pie, but the thought crossed my mind to wonder what the other customer, her friend, said about it. Or there's no use now to think too hard. I can do better tomorrow. I'll try again when I get some time. Anyway, as soon as she stepped out into that parking lot of a little coffee shop, she was surrounded by three large black sedans, and the four drivers then opened their trunks and lifted out a big blue sheet and draped this thing out of the windows on both sides, and the doors closed. I couldn't tell they weren't closing completely. But this must have been enough because I didn't see them anymore until they were long gone. So I was really feeling like a fool for having such a strange conversation with an elderly person I just met. Well, that wasn't exactly true, but it was just weird and uncomfortable, especially in a town like this. I didn't want her knowing I saw that. So that made me even more nervous that the whole incident had already left me with a sour feeling, so this morning I had to stop myself from going into the coffee house. Instead, I just drove into a different part of town. But today there was another one. I went to a different spot in the middle. And I did that a couple times because he thought of going back. Well, I could almost smell the old lady in the smoke. That really wasn't very good for her. So anyway, this day started just as any ordinary workaday morning, except my son and I have to say that I have always had a bit of a complex when it comes to his wife, which I suppose is typical and understandable since I am in fact her dad. I've always felt somewhat possessive of our relationship. As far as I can see, we were both born to the same mommy. What? I know I'm biased, of course. I love the guy dearly, but he also loves the guy. So it's just like, how many people can actually make it as a professional sportsman? It's a special kind of success, and the kid deserves it all. But anyway, my point is that it's just a normal routine, and she knows what she needs to know, and then I'm not going to be able to get any of the other details or background information. So it has never really bothered me until this week, and now that she's the matter of her father being found, he just disappeared last night at a party he threw himself. They didn't see where the party went. I think that's very odd because the neighborhood isn't a high crime zone, but the cops don't think it's an isolated occurrence, and the parents are concerned that he may have gotten into some sort of trouble. So I have this strange sensation that he just wants to hide out. He's supposed to go on trial tomorrow for assault with intent or some stupid stuff. He was charged with a number of counts of assault. A couple were breaking into a home, others of beating on some old lady in a bar. I can understand that the man's temper got the best of him. He could lose everything, including a fine lawyer, which they are really good at doing, and the whole situation could just turn around in an ugly kind of way if the police come across some sort of clue. It's this other missing man, and they'll be right here. It would mean I couldn't talk to my son anymore, and I wouldn't want to do that because I feel bad. He just works too hard at what he does, just to sit at a computer looking for a needle. I have to find this other guy first. Anyway, yesterday was such a funny kind of day. It just happened, but as far as getting out of town and not worrying about that, the whole day really passed without my really paying much mind to the problem. And then when the phone rang in the middle of it, I figured I was going to get off the bus, go to some place, and try to do some serious digging on the internet. I didn't know how or what, but the whole idea had crossed my mind, and then the phone rang, and when the phone was connected to a real person, I didn't want to hang up. That just scared me a bit. It was that girl who'd taken me down the other night. Her name I don't know, and I just didn't ring a bell, but there she was sitting at the desk. But one and talking on a phone. Call was a business matter, and it turned out to be this old guy. It was all about taxes and property. And the guy she talked to wasn't really any older. He looked about just 50 maybe. I guess that the girl didn't get along too well because they had to switch phones for the rest of the day, and then they were like, hey, coincidence. So anyway, she told me about her and how things have been going and how there was another guy, this guy, and he disappeared, and now it seems like he went somewhere. I don't even know why. She said the guy she went with last night was pretty nice and good to her, but that it had been too soon and it just wasn't a good feeling between them. She didn't think that they could get it to work. But then she started going over these little things and saying things like that it was like this other guy had to know something, and if I ever found them, then maybe she and the other one would start over, and then she hung up on that. I tried, and she just said she just wanted to forget about it. And so then I guess they decided to forget it because we didn't see each other again after school. And she seemed like a real sweetheart, so maybe I should just forget that I even saw them. And then the thing with the dad is like, and it just doesn't matter. Anyway, she asked me for a favor, but I don't want her mad at me. And then it was that whole thing with the dollar that was kind of a problem because that was the way it went. And so it just came to that. She wanted me to give this person money. Well, that just doesn't happen. You can't just help people. I thought of telling my wife. No, I don't think that's such a great plan either. I don't want her to think I have an affair going on or something, but it would be nice to talk about it and see where it goes and just make some sense out of this whole mess. And also to hear what the old guy thought of all this stuff. And that is exactly the point I think it would be really helpful if I went to the store today. So I have to ask the lady at least twice because there's no sign of anyone, and then when I do find someone, she has her hand on her chest as if to protect it. She must really feel the need to defend that area, or maybe she feels it will attract attention. Maybe I should look around to find some kind of sign so that I can show it to the lady. I'm going to have to go back to this coffee house tomorrow morning. It's just a fact. And then she won't be here anymore. She'll probably go off somewhere. She's been looking a lot better. Last time I spoke to her, she gave a good impression. But this morning is not a good day for any reason. I've got to find this woman and talk to her about that cigarette. What else did she have there? The last time I spoke to her and she gave a good impression. But this morning is not a good day for any reason. I've got to find this woman and talk to her about that cigarette. What else did she have there? It's the first place that she was in, and it would be interesting if the place had any sort of security system that might catch the smoke or the smell. But that isn't my business to worry about. The whole point is, I have to tell this guy who I just met. And that is it for the lunchtime meditation. Breathe in and breathe out.